On this channel, we're all about making bad decisions in RPGs and striving to play devil's advocate from a role-playing perspective. And one choice that's always intrigued me in Baldur's Gate 3 is whether or not you should ally with the Emperor in an effort to defeat the Nether Brain. So in this video, we're going to explore the most compelling reasons why you should side with the Emperor in Baldur's Gate 3. Without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into Faerun. The first and probably most compelling reason why you would side with the Emperor in Baldur's Gate 3 is that you believe it's the only way to defeat the Nether Brain. The Emperor does a good job of presenting his case and the dire situation in our interactions with him. I'm the one who's protecting you. Without me, you'd be enthralled by the brain. Only a Mind Flayer is capable of stopping the Nether Brain, etc. Positioning oneself as the only solution to your problems is a common manipulator tactic that most of us likely see through, but there is a nugget of truth in all these claims. The Nether Brain has ascended and become more powerful than a mere mortal can outclass. We see this firsthand when we try to use the Nether Stones to control the brain at the beginning of the mission. No matter how hard we try, there is nothing we can personally do to defeat the Nether Brain without assistance from a Mind Flayer. And in this final conversation we have with the Emperor, he is the only Mind Flayer in the room at the moment. Now as a player, we do have other options in this situation. For instance, we can free Orpheus. But Orpheus is kind of a wild card. Now I know someone is probably typing a comment right now, explaining how everything will be just fine if we free Orpheus, and so we obviously shouldn't side with the Emperor because we already know that he can help us defeat the Nether Brain too. He will even offer to transform himself into a Mind Flayer if no one steps up to the challenge. But let's take a step back and look at this from the perspective of our character rather than ourselves as the player. We, the player, have the luxury of operating with perfect information, especially if this isn't our first playthrough. We can do a search on YouTube or Google and instantly learn the exact consequences of our choices. But if we get into the mindset of role-playing and think about how our character would behave if they were making this decision IRL, it can shift our perspective. How would we expect our character to act if they didn't have perfect foresight or the ability to reload an earlier save? The fate of not only ourselves, but all of Baldur's Gate hangs in the balance of this decision. We don't know that we can trust Orpheus to help us. If we free him from his shackles, how do we know he won't kill us before attempting to stop the big brain on his own? And speaking of big brain moves, be sure to smash like and hit that subscribe button for more Baldur's Gate and RPG content. Appreciate you, dude. What the Emperor told us earlier about Orpheus is actually true. He does see us as illithid already and would rather put us to death. If you inspect Orpheus during our first trip into the Astral Prism at the beginning of Act 3, you can confirm this. Orpheus only ends up working with us out of necessity, and he suggests that our best course of action would have been to let his guards kill us.
That is false. You had the opportunity to surrender yourself to my honor guard. They would have given you a noble end. Any worthy individual destined to become Geik would have done so. My guard would have freed me, and I would have stopped the Elder Brain before it evolved into a Nether Brain.
Yeah, great plan, Orpheus. Guess I'll just die then. What an awesome ally. The Emperor, on the other hand, has never suggested we delete ourselves, and he has actively helped shield us from the mental control of the Nether Brain throughout the game. Now, he's not doing this for altruistic reasons. He's basically using us as a tool to operate in the outside world because he's unable to leave the prism himself without becoming enthralled. The only way he's able to leave the prism at the end of the game to go confront the brain is by consuming Orpheus's mind. This allows him to disrupt the Nether Brain's mental control, which keeps himself, you, and your allies from being enthralled. An alternative to working with the Emperor is to cut a deal with Raphael, but this also has its pitfalls. Cambions are notorious for trapping people into raw deals where they take more than they give. They seek out desperate people and trap them into lopsided contracts, which we see firsthand from Mizora and Will. So Raphael's help doesn't come without a price. He seeks the crown of Karsus, which will give him immeasurable power in Avernus. Now, we might be able to escape the consequences of this because we're not living in Avernus ourselves. But one of the only ways to save Karlach is to send her back to Avernus at the end of the game so that her infernal engine doesn't blow up in her chest. Do you really want to send Karlach into a place where Raphael can massively increase his power? In the end, Raphael doesn't even provide that much help to defeat the Nether Brain. He just gives us the Orphic Hammer that allows us to free Orpheus. We still might have to turn into a Mind Flayer if we choose this route. Is this kind of help really worth the price of giving him the crown? Now, obviously, cutting a deal with Raphael is not the only way to secure the Orphic Hammer. We can also break into the House of Hope and steal the hammer from him. It's a badass mission and one of my favorite parts of the game, but it's an objectively insane and bad plan. We already have enough problems on our hands, with the impending doom that threatens Baldur's Gate and the ticking time bomb in our own brains. But hey, let's open a portal to the Hells and try to steal a powerful artifact from an insanely powerful devil. What could possibly go wrong? If you were actually role-playing as your character who only had one life to live, which you can do in honor mode by the way, would you risk your life or your entire playthrough on this kind of mission? I'm not sure that you would. Another reason you may want to side with the Emperor is if your relationship with him is a bit more than platonic. Larian Studios recently posted some stats about player choices on their Instagram, and apparently over 1 million players hooked up with the Emperor. It sounds like some of y'all been playing a little bit of Squid Games, if you know what I'm saying. Come on, man, was it you? Don't lie to me. Which hilariously is almost twice the number of players who got with Halsin. He truly is the biggest loser companion in BG3. But yeah, I guess a lot of y'all couldn't resist the riz of the Purple Squid Man. So obviously if you develop a closer bond with our Mind Flayer friend, it's not like you're gonna betray your beloved to some Githyanki freak with bad facial hair, especially when the fate of the world hangs in the balance. And then we have the history of the Emperor. After saving Will's father, he will tip us off about a forgotten hero named Answer. But upon finding Answer, we actually discover that the Emperor was Balduran before he became a Mind Flayer. Balduran, of course, is the legendary adventurer who founded the city of Baldur's Gate. And at this point, the Emperor believes that becoming a Mind Flayer was beneficial, as it granted him greater powers, and apparently a romantic appeal to many of you watching this video. And he will consistently urge us to walk the same path, giving us an astral touch tadpole, and offering to transform us into a full-blown squid boy. And hey, who knows better how to save Baldur's Gate than the dude who founded the city, am I right? At the end of the day, whether or not you decide to ally with the Emperor comes down to personal preference. But I, for one, really enjoy exploring these decisions and role-playing different outcomes. So there you have it, the most compelling reasons why you should side with the Emperor in Baldur's Gate 3. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more BG3 and RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.